So we're looking at the new system insights with Skore. This is Skore Spinnaker. I think most of you, or at least all the names I recognise, will have been introduced in some form or other. So we'll have a look at what it looks like in the new Skore and what that kind of all the sort of benefits that gives you. So we'll have a look. We'll talk about why we're sort of focusing a bit on systems. Obviously, the how, the actual practicalities of adding systems into your processes, and then we'll have a look at some of the what else. We might not look at every button on the system, but we'll definitely give you the flavour of how it comes together and how you can manage your systems. It's a good question, I think. Why do we even bother with systems in our processes? It's a quick question. What percentage of your business is manual? And by that I mean it's not on a system. It doesn't use any bit of technology. Have you ever thought of that question before? Some people might have not. We're obviously process geeks, so we do ask that to a lot of our customers and prospects. Anyone want to hazard an answer on that? 0% are manual. That's an interesting standpoint. I'm not going to challenge you on that, Claudia. That's probably another discussion. 0%. And as with a lot of my silly questions, it doesn't matter what the answer is. It could be 90% is manual, but you still want to understand what systems are being used. Sam and I were on a call earlier this afternoon with a chap that owns the system landscape for a 1,000-person plus organisation. He's saying we've got 80 systems. And for what we do, that's crazy. We've got 4 project management tools, for example. So being able to understand just the landscape or what people are doing, especially in today's world where, you could jump off this call and you could go and sign up to, you could go and sign up to Skore if you weren't a customer. The SaaS software, it makes things like ghost IT or applications being picked up on people's personal credit cards a very, very common thing. So we've always managed to capture systems in Skore before, but now we've really put a bit of focus on that in the latest version. So the how, first, before we go to how, again, simple question. I love the obvious questions, but what is a system? And so, I mean, and this is by no means a comprehensive list. This is just to sort of see some of the flavors that we've seen over the years and continue to see. So the obvious ones, and it's just a selection. Everyone have different things, but Xero, Sage, financial systems, Salesforce, any other CRM as well. They're all quite tangible systems, probably backed by IT. There's been some sort of investment. They're widespread throughout the organisation, and they're the obvious ones you're going to sort of come across. The not so obvious, again, what do people call systems? And so Excel. I love adding Excel into our processes as a system. It's a bit of tech. People use it as a system. So actually being able to understand what's going on there. Portals are systems, which might not be as obvious as some of the main big ones. Also, bits of machinery people use as will tag in processes as a system. Again, why they might do that is because they want to just understand where it's used, who's it used by, and all those sort of great things that you give here. The SAP modules, it's just an illusion. It's just to allude to the fact that yes, SAP could be a system that you capture, but also I've seen a number of companies break down a big system into smaller modules as well, because that's the lens that they want to look at. What modules do we go and look at? Brilliant. If you're buying a system, upgrading a system, what modules do we use? That can give you quite a good insight. Anything anyone want to add in terms of systems they might have seen being used that might not fit a generic mold, or any other suggestions? Sam, have you seen any? Email, perfect. Thank you, Erica. Email, classic system that people forget about because it's so ubiquitous. We just assume everyone, it's just there, but actually there's some really interesting stuff that you could have when you go and look at email as a system. Anyway, just to get the juices flowing in terms of people thinking you always add to this, but it's again just the types of systems that we see time and time again being added. Bieber. Miro, brilliant. Miro's brilliant. Yes, especially in the last one. What's a beeper?
Beeper. Spelling mistake.
I was going to say, obviously, Justin Bieber. This is the only thing I could think of what a beeper is. Yes, a beeper, definitely. That's going to have an impact on going to processes. So this is the most simplistic part of my session here, but adding assistant. Hey, we try and keep it as simple as possible, in terms of Skore. So we've just got a simple couple of steps here. Anyone who's used Skore before knows that all you have to do is double click, update your text here, and you've got a role here. So you've got a really cool little button down here. So you can have multiple roles, as you would imagine. We've got Racy on this diagram here, and you add a system. So it works exactly the same way as when you're adding roles onto your activity steps. So in the same way as roles, it will show you ones that you've used before. Yeah, so you can search SAP and it will come down there, or you can create a new one in here. So you can quite quickly come down here. I'm not even looking at the. I told you how much I like adding Excel. Let's do that. So again, updating price list here. Great. Yeah, and you can see here they'll always appear under the roles. And I've chosen my style sheet here to be a different color as well to make that pop out. Yeah. So again, that's a decision you can make on your style sheets. And again, you can do this here. There you go, Erica. Email distributed price list. Brilliant. That's telling me now a bit more about what we're looking at here. So that's the basics on, as you would expect. Simply adding systems against your processes alongside the roles. So that's how we add them. Should we have a look at an example? Maybe something a bit more complicated than, not complicated, but comprehensive than the two-step process I've looked there. Did warn you all at the beginning, my machine is on a bit of a go slow, so I don't know why that's taking so long. Brilliant. So we've got a procure to pay process. Yeah, many of you have seen this sort of demo content before. At this level, we've not got any systems yet. We've got just buyers and the like. So typically we'd probably suggest that as you start to drill down into the detail, when at the lowest level possible is probably the best practice in terms of putting in your systems. Again, that's just your business to decide. And you can sort of drill down, and we've got SAP systems, Excel here. So you can see here what we've got here is actually activity steps where there's no role, it's just a system on there as well. So again, that's another decision you make when you're mapping, and the standards that you put in your business is, how do you represent do you represent automated steps? Again, it will always come back into them. So why are you process mapping? But yeah, you can see what's going on here. If you've been into any of the drop downs, you'll have seen we've now got a little section down here called business tools. Let's jump straight down to that rather than click around and show you what's everything's going on. We've now got alongside the roles, reports, business tools, we've got systems. So if I click on here, it takes me to the system overview. So I can see quite quickly I've got 5 unique systems that have been assigned 33 times in this process. I'm just looking at the procure to pay process in this thing. SAP and procurement process, unsurprisingly enough, is the most comprehensive. It's the most widely used process here. And you can see we've got low code, Excel, email. I'm sure email will be used more than that. Even UiPath as well, so you start to see what's going on. So I'll come on to tags in a bit later. If you've got more than 5, you've got a little search button here. I've only got 5, so I can quickly click around. So I can, if we pick on the most comprehensive one, SAP, again, we're looking at this BROM process here. And again, it's just laying out some of those information in the same way that we do for the roles, but with a system role lens on it. So we can look at all the activities that are being used in this process. Then we can start to look at what the roles are as well. This is where some of the interesting insights may or may not come from, depending on what your process is looking like. You can also start to see so who collaborators, what roles are using this system. And this at this level for one process, this might be perfect. You might actually, there's nothing that jumps out there as anything untoward or the like. As you start to look at more processes, you might start to see people that you might not expect to see in here. Yeah. So you can start to piece, as for Skore, you're piecing it together, looking at it through different lenses to answer some of those questions. To see which people are using this, what systems are used on the same steps. Or quite interestingly, what we can see now is the providers, the receivers. So what we're looking at here is SAP is receiving data in some form or other, manually or otherwise, from UiPath, Excel, and the AP system, which is in there as well. Yeah. that's pretty, again, the more information you put in there, the more comprehensive it's going to be in terms of the analytics it's showing you. But again, we've also got the tags which we've got here, custom fields. So all the, not to delve straight into this, but if you were adding things like opportunity improvements or risks or exceptions, you'd be able to report on this against the system. Yeah, so show me all the automation opportunities where we've tagged Excel. Yeah, very, very handy to be able to see that. Yeah, so you're building up a model again that in the same Skore way against the visualization. And again, as with any of these reports, you can see what we're using UI5 for. We can click through, and it will take us to that point in that process, or take us to another system, or like. So you can see here we're using Companies House. These processes are red because obviously you've been using this for a demo for a risk. Yeah, using automatic star rules on there. So slightly, that's a control type, so an automation. Yeah. Excellent. So that's a nice example that we're looking at here. What else can we do? So just to pick out a few of the things which we put in place to help you manage this stuff. So system models, so the ability to find, tag, and report against a set of tags. So if I go to map properties, we've got now a system model. There you go, where you can say, right, basic is just where there's no tags, or you can create it in the admin section to say, basically say, what would you tag? And again, the demo that we use, the use case we're using here is it a new system or is it a legacy system? That might be interesting to you could be another use case which we've been looking at with some customers is it cloud or on-prem? Yeah, that might be interesting to be able to work out how much of your business is on-prem versus on cloud. A lot of businesses have a drive, especially in the technology space, to move things onto the cloud. So that's another level of information you can add into your system modeling. Managing your systems. So I'll convert these into two. I'll combine these into two as well, converting into a role and report. So the reports I was showing you here. So I come back into business tools, systems. This is for this process. So I use this little thing here. I can come into the workspace level. Yeah, so bringing it up a level. And if I don't apply a scope selection on this, this is looking at all the systems in this demo workspace. And you can see here. So what you can do here is you can look at capsule. What would I have added capsule? There you go. So this is a good example. I'm pretty sure that was just as part of the demo I was doing. So I can do things like rename that system. I'll just show you what the sort of things that I'm not going to go through every function here, but actually you can say it's called capsuled. Yeah, D. And then you can choose, do you update this system? Do you keep the current system? So we've done a lot of thinking about, well, if you're going to delete it, what if it's already on a published process, or you don't want to change your process automatically? So you've got these options as you go through and as you do that. And you can also then merge this system into another one. So I've got CRM here. So if you had customer relationship management system, yeah, and someone else has used CRM, you can do a merge. So bring them together and treat them as one. So we're doing a lot of this central system management functionality. You can also delete it, which I'm going to do here now. So again, if I do this, I can say hide the role, active, delete system permanently. I want to delete that from the system permanently. Away you go. I've got the option there to delete it, but just not put it as forward as an option for anyone else as they create processes. What will also happen is there's a possibility that someone creates a system as a role. I don't think I've got one in here. I've got a system in here. A GP is not a system, but just for this this example, and you can say I want to convert this to a system. So again, we can flip the two around, so you can then just normalize the data that you've got and start to get that reporting out. So not to deep dive too much in the system manager, but it's there. But yeah, great. You're adding systems on the fly in your process workshops and in your mapping. You've got the backup here of being able to then normalize down, look for duplicates, rename if you need to, merge, delete, all that great stuff that you would expect from Skore when it comes to managing. think the last box I had on there before questioning was, of course, these are now going to appear in the search. So if you haven't seen the search functionality, it's brilliant. Just basically puts that in there. So if I can come on and I can say that, let's pick out on Excel again. Great, it's showing me the system here, and I can go and look at that. And you can do that from anywhere. So you can come into, say you're in a process. You can look, it's showing you what systems, what processes here are used in that system. We've got a little search here. I can search in the current process, or I can search in the workspace here. So say let's have a look at SAP and jump around. Yeah, putting that information at your fingertips.